Welcome, the anointed ones. Not all who protect you will ever be seen, and not all who see you will ever protect you. Chosen ones, let that sink in for a moment. Because the truth is, you have allies in places you never imagined, rooms you've never entered, circles you didn't even know existed, and conversations you were never supposed to overhear. These hidden protectors are not clapping for you from the sidelines. They are bending systems, silencing plots, and shifting outcomes in ways that would shock you if you knew the full story. Here's a fact to chew on. In nearly every major historical turning point, there were always invisible hands shielding key figures from elimination. People working in the background who never received credit. From leaders who mysteriously avoided assassination attempts, to activists who were tipped off minutes before raids. Survival has often depended not just on personal strength, but on unknown allies strategically placed to guard destiny. And now, that same pattern surrounds you. Your enemies think they're running the show, but what they don't know is that the script has already been rewritten by people they can't touch. Imagine trying to win a chess game, only to realize your opponent has pieces that move in ways the rulebook never mentioned. That's what your enemies are facing. The best part? These protectors are not sitting around drinking tea and gossiping about you, though if they were, you'd probably be the main character of the conversation. No, they are actively dismantling threats while you're busy living your life. Some of them would never be caught dead liking your posts online, but trust me, they are quietly deleting problems offline. So sit tight, because by the end of this, you'll realize just how guarded you truly are, and why those who plot against you keep ending up frustrated, confused, and embarrassingly outmaneuvered. Number one, they aren't just friends in high places. They're strategically planted guardians. They aren't just random people who happen to like you. The ones protecting you behind the scenes are strategically placed guardians, positioned with precision long before you even knew you needed them. They are not there because of luck or coincidence. They are there because something about your path carries a weight that ordinary protection cannot handle. While most people build networks through friendships, favors, or business deals, your network was woven in silence, thread, by forces that saw the future and prepared for it. These protectors are embedded in places you would never think to look: offices, agencies, corporate boards, judicial benches, tech systems, even within the same organizations that may have once seemed hostile to you. They are not contacts in the usual sense. They are operatives of purpose. What makes this even more extraordinary is their timing. They appear to be absent during your everyday struggles, but when the stakes rise, doors that were locked suddenly swing open, and problems that seemed permanent begin dissolving without explanation. This is not random chance. These guardians are the reason why traps laid for you mysteriously collapse, or why attacks designed to destroy your credibility fail before they even reach the public. They are moving long before you see the smoke from the fire. It would be easy to think their protection is about favoritism, but it isn't. They're not interested in your comfort. They're interested in your survival, because your survival preserves something larger than just you, something that needs to continue unbroken. They are not watching you with pity. They are safeguarding a mission that runs through you. This is why their methods are subtle. They cannot be publicly linked to you, because exposure would weaken both you and them. Their silence is not indifference, it's strategy. In fact, many of them risk more than you will ever know. They stake their reputations, careers, and sometimes even their safety to keep you covered. They have been evaluating your integrity for years, waiting for proof that you would not compromise the role you've been given. Now that they know who you are, they have locked into position. You're not just being defended, you're being preserved with precision. Number two, their protection isn't pity. It's preservation of a larger mission. They don't protect you because they feel sorry for you. Their protection isn't born out of sympathy or charity. It's rooted in necessity. Your life, your work, and your very presence are tied to something far bigger than personal comfort or individual success. These hidden allies see the bigger picture clearly. They know that if you fall, something crucial in the larger plan falls with you. They aren't simply shielding a person, they are safeguarding a mission, a thread in a much larger design that needs to remain unbroken. That is why their protection goes far beyond kindness. It is deliberate, strategic, and sometimes even ruthless in its precision. This is why your protection often doesn't feel like pampering. It isn't about making life easier or removing every obstacle. It's about making sure you are not removed from the board entirely. They will let you face challenges, even harsh ones, because those trials shape you into someone strong enough to handle the weight of your purpose. But they will intervene when the threat is designed to wipe you out completely. They know the difference between discomfort that builds you and destruction that ends you. This kind of guardianship is not emotional. It's not about who likes you or who finds you deserving. Some of these protectors may not even personally admire you, but they recognize the value of what flows through you. That is what they are loyal to. Not your personality, not your mistakes, not even your victories, but the purpose you are carrying. They understand that by shielding you, they are protecting the continuity of something that will outlast you and them both. Because of this, their moves are often hidden and feel impersonal. They may not reach out to you directly, but their fingerprints are on outcomes that keep you safe. They're not interested in applause, and they rarely reveal their names because the work isn't about public recognition. It's about ensuring the mission survives. The protection you receive is not a favor you can lose. It's a strategic investment in what you represent. This is why their loyalty can feel almost unshakable, because it isn't based on you as a person, but on the greater necessity of what you're here to do. Number 3, their loyalty was earned in silence, long before you knew they existed. Long before you ever sensed their presence, these hidden allies were already watching how you handled life. They didn't just show up one day because they were bored or curious. They studied you in silence, not for hours or days, but for years. They were looking for proof. Proof that you wouldn't sell out when pressured. Proof that you could be trusted with more than your own survival. Proof that your values would hold even when no one was watching. Every time you chose integrity over shortcuts, every time you walked away from easy gains that compromised your soul, you were unknowingly passing a test that had nothing to do with public applause. In those quiet decisions, you were building a reputation with people you didn't even know existed. Their loyalty was not handed out like a gift. It was earned in the shadows, transaction by transaction, moment by moment. They were measuring your strength, your patience, your ability to endure without becoming bitter. They needed to know that if they invested in protecting you, you wouldn't corrupt the very thing they were trying to preserve. This is why your protectors don't look like fans or supporters. They're not emotionally attached in the way friends or family might be. They're mission-oriented, and you proved yourself worthy of the mission without even realizing it. This is also why, when they do act on your behalf, it feels so precise. It's not random, it's not impulsive. They know exactly what they're doing because they've been preparing for this for a long time. You might think their help came out of nowhere, but it didn't. It came from a long chain of observations and decisions. They already mapped out who you are, how you react, and what you're capable of, which is why their protection is so effective. The silent years when you felt unseen weren't wasted. They were your vetting period. And now the guardians who once stood back are locked in around you because you've shown them you won't waste what you've been given. Their loyalty isn't a favor. It's a covenant built in the dark, sealed by your own choices, and it's why they're willing to risk themselves to keep you standing. Number 4. They have access to weapons of influence you've never imagined. They have access to weapons that don't leave smoke or noise but leave permanent impact. While others fight with brute force, they fight with invisible currents that shape outcomes before a battle even begins. Their tools aren't guns or fists, but the levers that move societies. Narratives, policies, networks, and quiet influence. These are the kinds of weapons that don't just defend you in the moment. They rewrite the conditions of the fight entirely. When an attack is aimed at you, it often disappears, not because your enemies changed their minds, but because these allies dismantled the plan at its root before it could even touch you. This is why you'll sometimes notice situations that should have gone badly for you simply evaporating without explanation. A smear campaign dies before it's born. A false accusation fails to gain traction. A trap set for you collapses under its own weight. To outsiders, it looks like coincidence or good luck, but it's not. It's the precision of people who understand where power actually sits, in the ability to control narratives, bend policies, and redirect the flow of influence. They're not reacting in real time. They're operating 3 moves ahead, neutralizing threats before you're even aware of them. The quiet brilliance of their work is that you don't have to see it for it to be effective. If you're not aware of the smear that never happened, it means they did their job perfectly. If you're not walking into traps, it's because they've already disarmed them. These weapons of influence are invisible because that's what makes them powerful. The less noise they make, the harder they are to counteract. Your enemies can fight what they see. They cannot fight what they don't even know exists. This is what truly tilts the battlefield in your favor. You're not just being protected. You're being strategically positioned. While others rely on muscle or intimidation, your hidden allies rely on influence so strong it shapes outcomes silently. That's why you're still standing, why your name stays clean despite attempts to drag it, and why you keep moving forward while others burn out trying to stop you. Their weapons don't look like weapons at all, but they're far more devastating than anything your opposition can wield. Number 5. They move like ghosts in systems you thought were against you. You once thought every system, every institution, every authority around you was hostile. It felt like a wall of opposition, like everything was rigged to block or crush you. But what you couldn't see was that within those very systems, in the cracks and corners you'd never suspect, there are allies quietly positioned. They don't announce themselves. They don't send you signals. They operate like hidden nodes in a network, intercepting moves that were meant to break you and redirecting them before they reach you. Their invisibility is not weakness, it's their greatest strength. By staying unseen, they keep their access, their influence, and their ability to intervene without detection. Their presence explains why certain attacks seem to fizzle out, or why complicated situations unexpectedly turn in your favor. You aren't seeing coincidences. You're seeing the residue of their invisible work. They move like ghosts, bypassing the usual channels, slipping through policies and hierarchies, making sure what was designed to harm you gets rerouted or neutralized. This is not about favoritism or luck. It's about embedded allies who have been placed where your adversaries least expect to find them. Because of their position, they can touch things you can't touch. They can see conversations, documents, and decisions long before they reach the public. They can influence which path is taken, which door stays shut, and which one opens just enough for you to step through. They are not loud, and they never take credit, but their silence is not passive. It's active, strategic, and deliberate. You may never know their names, their faces, or their motives, but you've felt their effect. The subtle but unmistakable way disasters aimed at you lose momentum, traps collapse under their own weight, and outcomes that seemed certain suddenly reverse. These people are embedded exactly where you thought you had no allies. They move like shadows inside the machinery of the very systems you once feared, quietly bending those systems to make sure you survive. Number 6. Their intelligence is beyond insider information. Their intelligence goes far beyond what most people think of as insider information. It isn't just about knowing what's going on behind closed doors. They understand the deeper layers, why things are happening, who set them in motion, who stands to benefit, and how to dismantle the mechanism if it threatens you. This isn't gossip, traded in whispers, or a leak passed under the table. It's precision data, strategically gathered and interpreted with surgical accuracy. It's the kind of intelligence that doesn't just reveal events, but reveals the hidden architecture behind them. Because of this, their protection operates on a level most people can't even comprehend. While others react to headlines, rumors, or surface movements, these hidden allies are already working 3 steps ahead, intercepting threats before they fully form. They're not just reading the board, they're reading the motives behind the moves, the funding behind the motives, and the networks behind the funding. That's why their defense of you seems almost eerie in its timing. They know the wave is coming before the water even rises. Their access to this kind of intelligence means they're not improvising. They're engineering outcomes. They know exactly which lever to pull, which call to make, which file to disappear, or which narrative to amplify so that a situation turns in your favor without you even realizing a storm was building. This isn't reactive protection, it's preemptive architecture. And because it's not rooted in guesswork or hearsay, it's incredibly hard for your enemies to counter. They may think they're working in secret, but these hidden guardians have already mapped their intentions, their alliances, and their vulnerabilities. They're not just neutralizing the obvious attacks, they're dissolving the invisible scaffolding those attacks rely on. That's why so many traps aimed at you collapse under their own weight. The foundation is quietly being removed before the structure can even rise. This level of intelligence creates a shield around your path that isn't flashy, but is extremely effective. It keeps you walking forward, seemingly untouched, while entire strategies against you disintegrate in silence. It's not luck, it's not coincidence, it's mastery of information, and it's one of the most powerful shields you have. Number 7. Some are protecting you at personal risk you'll never hear about. Some of the people shielding you are doing it at a cost you'll never see. They are not simply making phone calls or signing papers on your behalf. They're risking their own positions, reputations, and sometimes even the stability of their families to keep your path clear. These aren't gestures of convenience. They are sacrifices. Every time they step in to block a smear, bury a false report, or reroute a decision that could destroy you, they're putting themselves in the crosshairs of the same forces that want you gone. And yet they do it quietly, without asking for credit or even acknowledgement, because exposing their role would collapse the entire shield. They know what's at stake. They know the blowback could ruin them, but they also understand the consequences of letting you be erased. To them, the cost of losing you, and what you're carrying, is far greater than the cost of protecting you. So they keep moving, hidden but active, absorbing the backlash, the suspicion, and the internal politics so you can keep moving forward. Some have lost promotions, friendships, or even pieces of their own safety because of the decisions they've made on your behalf. This is why their protection feels so deep and unshakable. It isn't casual. It's not a favor that can be revoked at any time. It's a decision they've made knowing it will extract something from them. They've tied their well-being to yours, not because of sentiment, but because they see a bigger necessity at work. That's also why they rarely reveal themselves. The moment their role is visible, the entire structure of your protection becomes vulnerable, and their sacrifices become meaningless. The truth is, you will likely never know their names or the full extent of what they've done. Their stories will remain untold, their risks unacknowledged, their costs uncounted. But you felt their impact in the form of disasters averted, traps dissolved, and accusations that never reached you. Their quiet endurance is one of the most powerful shields around you, and it exists because some people decided that keeping you safe, even at personal loss, is worth more than their own comfort or recognition. Number 8. Their moves often look like coincidences until you zoom out. At first glance, the way things unfold around you might look random. A door opening at the last second, an accusation quietly dying out, a crisis dissolving before it becomes public. People around you might call it luck or coincidence, but what you're actually seeing is the residue of someone else's quiet, deliberate work. These hidden allies move in ways so subtle and precise that their actions blend into the background of everyday life. They're not loud about what they do, and they don't leave signatures, but the effect of their intervention is unmistakable if you look back far enough. When you trace your path in hindsight, patterns start to appear. Situations that should have destroyed you didn't. Doors that were sealed shut opened right when you needed them. Attacks that should have been devastating fizzled into nothing. The more you zoom out, the less random it all looks. You begin to see the fingerprints of protection, careful moves, timed responses, strategic shifts, all happening behind the scenes while you were focused on surviving the moment. This is the nature of real protection. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. Its goal is not to be noticed, but to be effective. These people have no interest in applause or credit. Their satisfaction comes from ensuring you keep moving forward, untouched by threats you never even knew existed. Because their moves are hidden, the results look like fate or chance. But in reality, each outcome has been engineered with intention. Their interventions also tend to feel almost invisible because they're preemptive. By the time a problem reaches you, they've already removed its sting or dismantled its structure. You only experience the echo of what could have been. That's why life sometimes feels like it's just working out, despite the odds. It's not randomness. It's the silent choreography of people who've decided you must reach the finish line. And while you may never know their names or see their faces, the undeniable trail of near misses, reversals, and last-minute turns in your favor is their unspoken signature. Number 9. They're not bound by your enemy's timelines or tactics. Your protectors don't play by the same rules as the people trying to stop you. While your opposition is busy reacting to whatever's happening in the moment, your hidden allies are working years ahead. They've already mapped out the moves before your adversaries even think of them. This isn't defense, it's foresight. They're not scrambling to clean up messes. They're shaping the board so that many messes never exist. You're walking inside a future they've already prepared, which is why you seem to glide past traps your enemies thought were inevitable. This level of preparation makes your adversaries look clumsy without them even realizing why. They're always arriving late to their own ambush. They plan something, but the conditions change before their plan can mature. They shift tactics, but the shift benefits you instead of harming you. It's not that they're incompetent. It's that they're playing a game someone else has already rigged for your survival. Every delay, every sudden policy change, every unexpected break in tension is often the result of your protectors having moved the pieces long before the threat was even named. Because your protectors aren't bound by the same timelines or tactics, they have the luxury of patience. They don't have to rush, and they don't have to respond emotionally. They're operating from a higher vantage point, where outcomes are shaped months or years before they unfold. Your opposition is fighting today's battle. Your allies have already won next year's. That's why, even when you feel like you're surrounded, situations often resolve in your favor before you have time to panic. You're not simply being defended, you're living inside the echo of someone else's foresight. Your survival, your unexpected wins, and your sudden reversals aren't flukes. They're proof that a strategy larger than your enemy's plans is already in motion. And because your protectors have anticipated more moves than your adversaries can imagine, you're already standing in a future where their tactics have no power. Number 10. Some of them are invisible because they don't have titles, only power. Some of the strongest allies protecting you are completely invisible because they don't wear the symbols of power people are trained to look for. They don't have titles, uniforms, or flashy positions that announce their influence. On paper, they're ordinary: a janitor, a receptionist, a clerk, a technician. But in reality, they're sitting at hidden intersections of access and control. They can reach information others can't. They can move pieces no one else notices. They can quietly shift the direction of an outcome without ever being linked to it publicly. This is the kind of power most people overlook. Society is trained to equate authority with titles, but actual power often lives in the hands of the people who manage the smallest details. A single janitor with master keys can see documents or overhear conversations a CEO can't. A clerk can make a file disappear or delay it until a window of danger has passed. A technician can reroute a system, erase a footprint, or insert a delay that saves you from a disaster. They don't stand on stages or sign policies, but their fingerprints are all over the quiet victories you experience. What makes them so effective is precisely this invisibility. Because nobody suspects them, they move freely. They don't attract scrutiny, so they can act with more freedom than someone in an official role. They don't need approval, they don't need meetings, and they don't need to explain themselves. They can tilt outcomes in your favor without a single headline or witness. And because they are not visible, your adversaries can't predict or counter their moves. These nobodies are often the most dangerous kind of allies to your opposition. They're overlooked, underestimated, and left unchecked, which makes their reach even more potent. They're not after credit or recognition. Their strength comes from the fact that nobody even knows they exist. This is why, time and again, The script flips when it seems like everything is stacked against you. It's not luck. It's the silent, unnoticed power of people who don't have titles but hold the keys to the very systems your enemies thought they controlled. Number 11. Their role is not to rescue you, but to keep the battlefield tilted in your favor. Their role in your life isn't to swoop in and rescue you every time things get hard. They're not babysitters or saviors, and they're not trying to shield you from the reality of your path. Their real job is far more powerful, to tilt the entire battlefield in your favor before you even arrive on it. They're not there to fight your battles for you, but to make sure every fight you face is one you can actually win. They clear away the kinds of obstacles that would make the fight unwinnable, while leaving just enough resistance for you to grow, sharpen your skills, and become stronger. This is why their protection doesn't always feel like protection. You still face opposition, setbacks, and difficulties, but what you don't see are the traps that never reached you, the ambushes that fell apart, and the forces that were neutralized before they could touch you. These hidden allies aren't trying to make life easy. They're trying to make it survivable, strategic, and aligned with your purpose. Their goal is not to spare you the fight, but to ensure the fight refines you instead of destroys you. They operate like architects, not firefighters. They design conditions so that when you step onto the field, the odds are already tilted. They've shaped the terrain, set the timing, and weakened the opposition before you even show up. That's why so many of your battles end with outcomes that seem improbable from the outside, because you were stepping into a fight that had already been influenced in your favor. This also explains why your adversaries can't seem to land a finishing blow. They're fighting a version of you that has been prepared, positioned, and protected before the conflict even began. What looks like your resilience or luck is really the result of a playing field designed to give you the edge. And because these allies aren't emotionally invested in being seen as heroes, they never reveal their hand. Their power lies in making sure you have the chance to stand and win on your own, but under conditions secretly set up to ensure you're not stepping into a battle you were never meant to survive. Number 12. Their shield around you is layered in ways you can't comprehend yet. The shield around you isn't a single wall. It's an entire network of barriers, each one designed to cover a different angle of attack. Legal, social, energetic, and spiritual protections have been woven together like overlapping nets, creating a system so intricate that even the most determined enemy can't find a clear path through. When they think they've found an opening, they slam into another wall they didn't know was there. When they switch tactics, they run into yet another barrier. This isn't coincidence or improvisation. It's a carefully built mesh of defenses that work on multiple levels at once. On the surface, you might only notice the practical layers, a sudden legal technicality that saves you, a social ally stepping forward at the right time, an unexpected resource appearing when you need it. But beneath that, there are quieter protections, unseen energies, spiritual coverings, and timing so precise it feels otherworldly. Together they create a multidimensional shield. One layer absorbs impact, another redirects it, another makes the threat dissolve before it even reaches you. Each piece overlaps, making the entire structure stronger and harder to penetrate. This complexity is what confuses your adversaries. They expect a single line of defense they can break or bypass, but instead they're walking through a maze they don't understand. They can't see how many layers there are, how they interact, or where the edges even lie. They only know that what should have worked doesn't, and what should have broken you ends up breaking itself. You're not meant to fully understand it yet either. This shield wasn't built to impress you or even to make you feel safe. It was built to preserve your path and purpose at a scale you haven't fully stepped into. One day, as you look back, you'll realize how many times different layers activated at once to protect you. For now, you just keep moving forward while your enemies burn energy trying to navigate a defense system designed to keep you standing. This isn't just one defense, it's dozens, overlapping, forming an invisible fortress built for your survival. Number 13. Some are testing you while protecting you to ensure you stay worthy of the shield. Some of the people who protect you are not just guardians, they are evaluators. Their protection is real, but it's not blind or automatic. They're not simply throwing their influence, time, or resources behind you without question. They are watching closely to see who you become under pressure, under opportunity, and under power. They're looking for proof that the very shield they've built around you won't end up empowering something destructive. This isn't cruelty, it's stewardship. They know that handing protection and leverage to someone who hasn't proven their integrity is dangerous, not only to them but to you as well. This is why your path sometimes feels both guarded and tested at the same time. While one hand removes traps from your road, another sets small challenges to see how you'll react. Will you stay humble when doors open? Will you stay fair when you're given the upper hand? Will you stay focused on purpose rather than revenge when you have the chance to strike back? These are the silent questions that shape their continued investment in you. It's not punishment. It's a filter to ensure you stay aligned with what they're protecting. In their eyes, protection without accountability is like handing someone a weapon they haven't been trained to use. They're not protecting you just because you're chosen. They're protecting the mission, the potential, and the future you carry. And part of their role is to ensure that you remain worthy of that mission. Sometimes that means stepping back a little to see if you'll stand on your own. Sometimes it means watching how you treat people when you don't think anyone's watching. Every choice you make under pressure is data they weigh before risking more for you. The paradox is that this testing is itself another form of protection. It keeps you from self-sabotage. It keeps you from being corrupted by the very advantages that are supposed to elevate you. These allies are not just bodyguards, they're gatekeepers to your higher path. They know that real protection is not only about keeping harm out, but also about keeping you aligned so that when you step into greater power, you don't lose yourself. Number 14. When they finally step forward, it won't be subtle. It will rewrite the story about you entirely. When these hidden allies finally step forward, it won't be a quiet press release or a whispered apology. It will be an earthquake. Their emergence won't simply clear your name, it will obliterate the false storylines that were built around you. Lies won't just be disproven. The entire architecture of those lies, the people who crafted them, the systems that sustained them, the channels that broadcast them, will be exposed for what they are. The narrative about you won't just shift a little, it will be rewritten so completely that even those who once doubted you will have no choice but to see you differently. This kind of reveal isn't about defense in the traditional sense. It's about reorientation. It moves you from being a target or a question mark to being seen as untouchable, someone whose integrity, endurance, and purpose have been publicly vindicated. The effect will be so stark that it will feel like history has split into two eras, before the reveal and after it. People will look back and wonder how they ever believed what they were told about you. They'll question not just the lies but the motives behind them, and the collapse of those narratives will destroy the credibility of the ones who built them. Even your allies will seem larger than life in that moment. The figures who've worked quietly behind the curtain will step out, and their influence will become undeniable. People will be stunned, not just at the truth about you, but at the scale of the power that was standing in your corner the whole time. These allies will look mythic because they were never ordinary. They were architects, strategists, and power brokers moving invisibly on your behalf. And the most staggering part is that the reveal won't only vindicate you, it will reposition you. It will show the world that your survival wasn't luck. It was the result of precision, foresight, and loyalty. It will establish you as someone who cannot be casually defamed or destroyed because your foundation has been built in truth and shielded by influence far stronger than your enemies ever imagined. It won't just defend your past, it will rewrite your future. Every thread of what you've just heard points to one truth. Your life has not been random. The protection you've experienced, even when you couldn't name it, has been deliberate. Hidden hands have been working not to babysit you, but to preserve your mission. The stories, the attacks, the traps, all of them were meant to define you, reduce you, or erase you. Yet at every critical moment an unseen force tilted the battlefield just enough to keep you standing. You were not shielded to be comfortable. You were shielded to stay aligned with the reason you're still here. This kind of protection is not about glamour or fantasy. It's about structure, strategy, and sacrifice. People you may never meet, some with titles, others without, have risked reputation, influence, and even personal safety to keep your path clear. They've woven legal, social, spiritual, and energetic barriers into a layered defense so complex that your enemies can't even find the edge of it. Some of them are still testing you to make sure that what they're protecting is worth protecting. This isn't punishment, it's refinement. They're shaping the kind of person who can hold power without being corrupted by it. And one day the curtain will lift. The quiet interventions, the anonymous favors, the near misses that felt like coincidence, all of it will make sense. When these allies step forward, it won't be subtle. It won't just defend your name. It will destroy the falsehoods built against you and reposition you publicly as someone untouchable. The story written about you will no longer be theirs. It will be rewritten entirely, and the world will see the truth of who you are and what you survived. That moment will not be the beginning of your vindication. It will be the proof of everything you've endured and the signal that your mission has moved into a new chapter. Until then, know this: you are not walking alone. Even when it feels quiet, even when it feels like no one is watching, there are forces and people aligned to make sure you reach the place you were born to reach. Their presence is not always visible, but their impact is undeniable. Your only task now is to keep walking, keep choosing integrity over bitterness, and keep building a life worthy of the shield that surrounds you. If this message has spoken to you today, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss future insights like this. Like this video if it resonated with you, comment below to share your experience or perspective, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded that unseen protection is real. Together, we're building a space where truth, courage, and purpose rise above every lie.